Welcome to Mornings with Patricia. I'm so glad to be with you today. Hey, do you see this tree? I don't know if I can get my finger up here where you can see it. See this tree in the background? I have a story about this tree. That's actually two trees. Those are sequoias. And you may or may not be able to see the smaller trees right over my shoulder. And those are two dawn redwoods. So we are surrounded by beautiful tree energy in the backyard today. So today I'd like to read from a couple of poets. One is Hafiz and the other is Rumi, and we're going to start with Rumi, and we're going to talk about the poets and how to start our day with what they're talking about. So the first one is from Rumi. He says, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." Wow. I don't think that we usually think of emotions that we don't want that way, do we? Thinking about inviting them in as a guest into our house, right? Usually we make it bad or we're in denial of it. Hafiz is going to have a little bit different take on it, however, and that's going to be kind of fun to see his point of view too. Rumi makes a really interesting statement though. He doesn't tell you that you should take them in as a permanent boarder. He says invite them in as a guest. So whatever you're feeling, whatever emotions are coming up, it's okay. It's okay. Be gracious about the emotion, right? Guests don't stay forever. Or, yeah, we hope not. So, and we're at choice when to tell them, hey, it's time to leave. I had put something on Facebook this morning that said something like, what did I say? We don't have to have a reaction to negativity or anger or any of those things. When we see that it doesn't require a response from us. It doesn't. Somehow we're conditioned to think we have to respond to everything that's happening around us, and we don't. There's absolutely nothing, within us that requires that. We can be a witness to it. We don't have to judge it, but we're at choice. We're absolutely at choice. And when you think about that, that is a remarkable idea. Absolutely remarkable, and a beautiful thought, a beautiful reality that we're at choice. When you feel at choice during the day, you know that you don't have to react or respond to everything around you. You can choose. Now, having said that, because in the society we're often conditioned to think we have to, when you don't, other people might be really uncomfortable. Right? They might think you don't care. They might think all of these things. That's really none of your business. Right? You're not being unkind. You are just not feeling a need to get on board. So the sound you may be hearing that sounds like a gunshot in the background is actually our neighbor many, many fields away who has this little sound cannon to keep the geese away. I just think, hey, that's okay. You bring the geese over here and we'll enjoy them. So if you're wondering about that sound, that's what you're hearing. So you don't need to respond. And also, in that same line, you don't need to respond to yourself, right? You can bring it in as a guest. But this emotion is not something that lives permanently in your house. So you don't have to, bring out the bed sheets and all the towels and give them, a dresser they can have forever. All right? You can just notice that they've stopped by. Be gracious about it, okay? Because they're going to leave. Everything leaves, right? All emotions arise and they go. That's what they do. Everything is very transient, very fleeting. And the pain that we have is because we either want to keep a hold of it forever, or we think that it's never going to go, right? And both those things, are incorrect. Everything arises and everything goes. So as you go throughout your day, when you really think about this consciously and make a conscious choice, some incredible things can happen. The landscape around you starts to change. You may have been finding yourself creating a lot of things that really are just arising out of your perception, and you're making them real things, right? Of course, a wonderful example is, a coworker who is someone who seems to give you a lot of discomfort, shall we say, right? A lot of discomfort. And what happens with people that give us a lot of discomfort? We just want them to go away, don't we? We just want them to go away. And they don't. When they're meant to go away, they will, because you're not giving them that attention anymore. That creates them into some sort of monster that keeps, popping up underneath your bed or out of your closet. So let me read you the next one. And this one is by Hafiz, and this one has a title. It says, Stop Being So Religious. What do sad people have in common? It seems they have all built a shrine to the past, and often go there and do a strange wail and worship. What is the beginning of happiness? It is to stop being so religious like that. I love Hafiz. They call his poetry songs, and that is, don't you think that's incredible? Stop being so religious like that, right? We get so serious about our emotions. We've totally convinced ourselves that everything is so real and it's so going to stay forever. Here's something to think about. When you are in the midst of emotional sadness, can you remember a time when you weren't sad? We all can, right? There's some time that we can remember we weren't sad. So we know this is not a permanent state of being. Inversely, neither is happiness, right? I don't know personally that the point of any of this is to, I've heard people say, and I've even helped teach a class before, how to be happy. And that was many years ago. I'm not sure that the point is to be anything. I was talking with a friend today. I had I'm doing this in the evening, so you can see it tomorrow. I had the joy of being home today and having 3 people stop by, 3 friends stop by, and one unexpectedly, and it was really such a joy. But I was talking with one of the friends, and we were talking about emptiness. Now, emptiness within the self, right? And what is there to respond to when there's nothing within you that needs to respond? You can be the witness, but you don't need to respond. Right? And that is really uncomfortable, I think, in our society, because we expect what we think are appropriate responses. And witnessing is not considered often an appropriate response in our culture. We want the big emotional, the big emotional thing to happen, whether it's, anger, respond in anger, or, in sadness, or like, and, being so sorry for someone. Being a witness is really none of that. But it doesn't mean that, you're not experiencing emotion. It just means that you're not responding to everything that comes within your purview, right? We believe that what we see is really happening. But what is really happening is that we've made a story around it. We've made a huge story. And oftentimes that story is linked to something in the past. And we've carried it over, and then we say, oh, see, this keeps happening to me. This is something that's happening to me. And that is a very believable statement for the mind. When you make those kind of statements over and over, they're very, very believable. But again, like I've said to you before, the world is not happening to you, it's happening for you. So you get to decide, how you want to work with your perceptions. And really, how do you know your perceptions are true? How do you know they're true? Right? The only way that you know that your perceptions are true for you, and this is not really the truth, but what you think is the truth, is that they're self-validating. When you get something that's self-validating, here's a little tip. You have a prior story. And so everything validates against your prior story. So how do you empty yourself of your stories? And we were talking about this the other night at Sacred Space. Right? We've all worked very hard to be the most incredible artist we can. And sometimes we've invested many, many years into our artistic creations of sadness, unhappiness, pain. Right? And just to throw those out the window, what does that mean? Does that mean we've been lying to ourselves? Does that mean we're a liar? No. It just means that once we've awakened enough, we can go, oh, I've never been in bondage. It's not a denial. And I'm not suggesting that there's no such thing as depression or any of these things, right? We know suicides happen. All of these things happen around us. I'm talking to you as someone who is the seeker and is going, how does my mind work? And we can all go down those states of depression and sadness, but we can catch ourselves. If we see, oh, my mind is self-validating this against a prior story. What I think I saw, what I thought was happening. And that is a pretty tremendous story. So today what I'd like you to think about is to notice your perceptions today. And notice every time an emotion arises, are you being really religious about that? Are you so invested in that you couldn't turn it loose? What would happen if you let go of that story? Right? If you ever get a chance, read the work of Byron Katie, B-Y-R-O-N. Her last name is K-A-T-I-E. And she has a lot of wonderful books, but one is called Loving What Is. We just love whatever shows up. Because why not? It's insanity, she says, to deny that it's not. But it doesn't mean that you have to have a story around it. You can simply love whatever's showing up. And that right there is true emptiness. That's a beautiful sort of Zen concept of emptiness. Just letting everything be what it is. And you don't have to add to the creation of that. Let it in as a guest. Watch it leave. Be gracious. But you don't have to believe every guest that comes to your house, right? Not every guest is believable. So that's my thought for you today. Well, no red streaks in the sky today. We have a little bit of cloudiness as the evening sets, but the birds are singing, the sequoias and the redwoods are very happy. We have a cedar tree over here. A lot of good grounding energy. Don't forget to ground yourself today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure. And 1, 2, 3. Oh my God! I love myself. And I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I'll see you next time. Bye.